This is Britain's cheapest road bike. It cost £82.50, which is less than 1% of the value of a top-end road bike. Just how bad is it? It was my good friend and colleague, Mr. Daniel Lloyd, who first brought this beauty to our attention. Our resident ex-Tour de France pro was scouring hot UK deals, as he does on a daily basis, and spotted this, the Cross XTR 1400 27.5-inch wheel-size unisex road bike in red. A good start. Red bikes are faster. It's a fact. We clicked on the link, and the description looked promising. It said, "We would like this bike. Tell us more." 14 Shimano gears give plenty of ways to adapt our pedal power. It has rigid suspension, which is a bit of a head scratcher, plus road and trail specific tyres. Yes, tyres. We were sold. Take our money! But no, not so fast. The bike was out of stock everywhere, seemingly sold out. But we persevered and eventually found one, and not only that, the price had been reduced still further. How? I genuinely don't know, but they really must want to get rid of them. But it was with much anticipation that our new bike was delivered and unboxed. And here it is. What a paint job. That is a nice colour. GCN's ace mechanic Adam checked it over and said that with minimal assembly, it was actually good to go. At 12.6 kilos, it is almost double the weight of a 10 grand bike. However, we have saved £9,917.50. So frankly, I'm not entirely sure that matters very much. I'm still none the wiser as to what rigid suspension is, other than by looking at it, deducing that it means no suspension at all. And also, those tyres, they are definitely road only. If that so much as looked at a trail, I think you'd die. For £82.50 though, it does feel like you get a lot of stuff. In fact, it makes you wonder how it is quite as cheap as it is. I mean, if you think about the price of the raw materials, that should probably be £82.50 at least. Not to mention manufacture, labour, shipping, and any profit margins on top of that. Someone, something, or probably both, I think is quite likely to have suffered in order for us to have this bike. There are 23 individual components on here, which means the average value of each of them is less than £4. And I'm including the frame and the wheels in there as well. And you know what? Some of this bike actually is quite good. These 14 Shimano gears shift reliably and predictably and easily as well. Like, the shifters perhaps are not the most convenient. On a more expensive bike, they'd be here on your brakes. But that's no biggie, except when you accidentally shift them with your knees when riding out of the saddle. But anyway, that aside, it's pretty decent. And you know what else is good? The saddle. Surprisingly comfy. I mean, it might be that after 30 years of riding bikes, I have a weird ass. But still, for me, I can get used to that. If you came here wanting to know how bad this bike is, though, I will not leave you disappointed. I mean, there are many parts of it that are bad, like the position, which is extreme. And for most people, it is extremely bad. So normally, the more experienced the cyclist, the more stretched out you would want your upper body to be on a bike. So bikes for less experienced cyclists are typically more upright for comfort and for confidence. This bike, though, is the most stretched out bike I have ever ridden. So this bit here, your brake hoods, is so far away from your saddle. I think the main culprit is these handlebars, which look on the face of it like normal road bike handlebars, apart from this bit here, which is about twice as long as it should be, to the point that I think there are probably quite a few people who would simply not be able to reach this bit. And that is a problem because, as the name suggests, these are your brakes. If, though, by dint of your flexibility or double-jointedness or perhaps sheer luck, you do manage to reach the brakes, when you pull on them, nothing's going to happen, because these are spectacularly awful brakes. I don't know how many of us normally go around doing skids on our road bikes, but it's nice to have the option, right? But look at this. Yes, that, ladies and gentlemen, was my back brake fully on. Okay, and if we add the front brake into the mix as well. When I cycled the 20 kilometres or so home from work the other day, I had more than a few moments where I felt really vulnerable because of the lack of brakes. I think the main culprit for their crapness is perhaps the strength of the spring inside them, so that most of the power from your fingertips pretty much goes into just squeezing them. When they do make contact with the rims, you can also see there's quite a bit of flex in the brake caliper, so yet more of your power is robbed here. And then I'm not entirely sure what the brake pads are made of. I mean, it's not wood, but it kind of feels like it. God only knows how terrifying it would be in the rain. The good thing, undeniably, about a bike that costs £82.50 is I have significantly more cash left in order to be able to enjoy a coffee on my ride. While we're here, though, I thought we'd actually just check in and see what other people have to say about the bike. The average rating, you'd be interested to hear, is 3.5 out of 5, which I'm guessing perhaps is more value than performance. But anyway, we'll read on. 5-star reviews. I bought this product a month ago. It's comfortable and is high quality, particularly about gear. Bought the bike for hubby, and he loves it. Bought a month ago, was delivered on time, very easy to assemble. I recommend it. I bought this a month ago, and I'm so glad that I did do it. So no one really moaning about what I've been moaning about, with the exception, potentially, of Louise, who gave it just 3 stars, saying that she bought this for hubby to get him fit, but he almost landed up in hospital, crikey. While cycling, he braked, and the front brake detached itself and hit the front wheel. Luckily, he was going slowly, so didn't get catapulted over the handlebars. Now, I'm not saying that Louise from Kent is wrong here, but surely if your review talks about hospitalisation and your brakes falling off, it's probably a 1 star. Maybe 2 at best. Let's be clear though, people seem to like this bike, and for £82.50 you can see why. Yes, you need to do yoga and be taller than 6 feet in order to ride it, and it has little to no brakes, but fundamentally it is still a bike. So despite its flaws, it is still the most efficient way for a human being to travel. I mean, for £82.50, I could also have bought a pair of running shoes. And no matter how bad that bike is, it's always going to be better than running. See? On that bike, I can go 3 times faster for a third of the effort. And what else could you spend £82.50 on? You could buy a pair of roller skates if you're 8 years old. You could buy a micro scooter if you've given up on life. I mentioned that I rode home from work the other day. The alternative is catching the train, and for the value of that bike, I could do that 7.5 times. Which means if I bought that bike and rode it every day, I'd save £2,500 per year. £82.50, probably also a tank of petrol for my car, meaning I could drive a few hundred miles. Or I could probably buy a replacement tyre for my posh road bike. Or maybe a pair of cycling shorts. Although they're not these ones, because they're a bit more expensive. Is this bike fast then? Well, on my commute home from work, it was quite. I averaged 28 kilometres an hour, which is not too bad. On a gravel bike that costs 100 times more, I was 0.5 k an hour faster. And on a road bike that costs 112 times more, I was 3 k an hour faster. So I would get home from work 4 minutes and 20 seconds sooner. Which doesn't sound like much. And it's not really for £9,917.50 more. So clearly, a superbike doesn't represent value in any way, shape or form. In fact, it's impossible to justify on any grounds other than the fact that it's just a really, really nice thing to own. In contrast, though, this bike is a tool. It will get you to and from work efficiently and without fuss, just so long as you don't crash, because it's got no brakes. And you know what as well? It is still fun. It's a bike, right? It is better than being stuck in your car in a traffic jam. It is better than being on a bus. Plus, it's going to get you fit as well. I do worry, though, that a bike like this could put more people off cycling than it would convert, what with that extreme position and the decided lack of brakes. I mean, for the majority of people who are perhaps looking for a bike to get fit on and to get to and from work, there are definitely better out there. For £82.50, perhaps not so much, but for my money, I'd always look second-hand. That would be my tip. Anyway, we'd very much like to hear your thoughts on this bike, the Cross XTR 1400 in red. What do you think? Does it represent good value? Would you ride it? Have you got one, in fact? What review would you leave for it? Get involved in the comment section down below, and please give this video a big thumbs up if you've enjoyed it.